Hello, listeners. I am the Bedtime storyteller, and I hope that these series of stories will bring you peace before bedtime and make you sleep better. Also, where are you from and what time is it at your place? Next, I'm going to tell you about the 7th episode of the first season of The Candle in the Tomb. I stood up and stood at attention, imitating the squad leader's accent, and answered him. No. Why am I here again? It's time for Trevor from NAMSO to speak. Equality for all is the principle of socialism. The second squad leader said, Comrade August Who, why are you the only one who talks so much? I told you not to imitate me. I'm the squad leader. You should speak what I tell you to. Don't talk about whether absolute egalitarianism is right or not. I looked at the comrades around me. They were all sitting there solemnly waiting for me to speak. Trevor took advantage of the squad leader's inattention and stuck out his tongue at me. These guys are so unrighteous. Now he could only find a way out for himself. Report to the squad leader. What are we discussing today? You haven't said it yet. How can we speak if you don't say it? At this time, the instructor came over. Instructor Li Jian was in his 30s, of medium build, and a very gentle man. He was a veteran for more than 10 years. He treated officers and soldiers very well and had no airs. He came over and said to everyone, Comrades are in a meeting? I'll listen too. The second squad leader quickly saluted the instructor. The instructor waved his hand and said, You continue. Don't let me affect your discussion. The second squad leader's level was very low. Seeing the instructor next to him, he seemed very nervous and didn't know what to say. He might think singing is simple, so he said to the soldiers, Comrades, let's sing a revolutionary song together to boost morale. Is it okay? The soldiers answered in unison, Yes. The instructor almost laughed out loud when he heard it, and quickly pretended to cough twice to cover it up. The second squad leader didn't find anything funny. He raised his hands with a serious face and made the gesture of conducting the music. Comrades, I'll start first. Aya ma a lang shan. Get ready, sing. Aya ma a lang shan. Even if you are thousands of feet high, the ironclad men of the People's Liberation Army are determined to break through. They are not afraid of the wind or the snow. They want to build the road to Tibet. The snow in the sky was getting heavier and heavier. The chorus of more than a dozen soldiers echoed in the white snow flying all over the Kunlun Mountains. It was not known whether the vast mountains and snow set off the majesty of the military song, or the soldiers' singing embellished the desolation and loneliness of the Kunlun Mountains. For a moment, even several engineers in another tent were attracted by the singing, forgetting the altitude reaction and looking at the endless mountains in the distance, with their thoughts rising and falling. Finally, the instructor said a few words to everyone. Like all of you, I am also in Kunlun Mountain for the first time. The conditions here are indeed very difficult, and the environment is very harsh. We are facing the most severe test. But, my comrades, we are not an ordinary unit. Our company is called Heroic Company of Bayonet Fighting. This honor was earned by the predecessors of the 6th Company with their lives and blood. We must not discredit this banner in any way. Now the party Central Committee and Chairman Mao have entrusted us with this glorious task. It is a great trust in our 6th Company. We must carry forward the style of revolutionary soldiers who are not afraid of hardship and death to successfully complete this task. Comrades, Do you have the determination?" We answered in unison, "Yes." The instructor nodded with satisfaction and continued, "Rest early today. Our team will cross the Great Glacier tomorrow. Everyone should be prepared in advance. Okay, disband?" On the morning of the third day in the mountains, the team arrived at the Great Glacier. It is said that there is a very low-lying small basin nearby. Our destination is that basin. Since it was a confidential mission, we could not find a local guide to lead the way. In fact, no one knew the way, and we could only rely on the crude military map to find the destination among the contour lines like weeds. The Great Glacier is composed of 3 parts, with a huge drop and steep slope. The highest point is more than 6,000 meters above sea level, and the snow has not melted for thousands of years. The middle section is the longest, all of which is slippery ice, like a mirror. The thickness of the ice layer reaches hundreds of meters. The lowest part is lower than the average altitude of the Qinghai Tibet Plateau, and it sinks deeply into the earth like a crack. The warmer the ground here, the rare green plant belt has formed. At the lowest place, the altitude reaction is also reduced. If you want to continue to go deep into the Kunlun Mountains, you must pass through the valley under the Great Glacier. Before departure, the engineer warned everyone that you can't make any loud noise when marching under the glacier. Otherwise, it will cause an avalanche on the top of the mountain and you will be buried alive below. Everyone didn't even dare to breathe, and an accident still happened on the way. During the process of going up and down the glacier to the valley, an engineer from Beijing slipped and fell off the glacier. We found his smashed body in the oasis under the glacier. Female geological prospector Lanning was his colleague in the same unit. Seeing this tragic scene, she couldn't help but burst into tears. A geological expert, Mr. Wang, quickly covered her mouth with his hands and whispered, "Don't cry out loud." Lanning buried her head deeply in Mr. Wang's arms, sobbing painfully. The instructor took the lead in taking off his hat and bid a silent farewell to his companion's body. Then Trevor and I collected his body together, put it in a bag, and buried it. This engineer was with us for less than 3 days. I only knew that he was from Beijing, and I didn't even have time to know his name. He died silently. The big man used a military shovel to gently dig the soil on the ground. After a few diggings, a big blue fireball, the size of a basketball, flew out from the pit he dug. It circled twice in the air and rushed into the crowd. The members of the team hurriedly dodged. The fireball fell to the ground, and the blue flame gradually extinguished. It turned out to be a strange-looking little ladybug. Its whole body looked like red, transparent crystal, and its wings were crystal clear. Through its transparent shell, you can vaguely see the translucent internal organs inside. There seemed to be a faint flame flowing in it. It looked indescribably mysterious and weird. Everyone looked at each other and wanted to ask what kind of insect it was, but no one could give an answer. Perhaps it was a species that had not yet been discovered. Mr. Wang curiously leaned over, pushed the deep myopia glasses on his nose, and excitedly picked up the ladybug that looked like a red flame with 2 fingers, and carefully watched it. However, at this moment, the place where his fingers touched the ladybug was ignited by a blue flame, and in an instant the blazing flames engulfed his whole body. Mr. Wang's whole body was engulfed by the blue flame, and his skin was instantly covered with a layer of large blisters, and then it was burned. The myopia glasses on his nose were burned and deformed and fell to the ground. He also fell to the ground and twisted and struggled in pain. It was too late for us to save him. His screams of being burned by the fire demon resounded throughout the valley, and everyone was terrified. And it seemed that he would not die for a while. Someone tried to put out the flames on him with his shovel, but his body was already 100% burned, which was a deep burn. Even if the fire on his body was temporarily put out, he would not survive for more than an hour or two in the deep Kunlun Mountains, where there was a lack of medical care and medicine. Wouldn't that make him suffer? The scene of a living person being burned by fire was too cruel. Lonnie didn't dare to watch it anymore. She turned her head away. Her expression froze. She covered her ears and opened her mouth. It was unknown whether she wanted to cry or shout. The youngest Sean was also scared. He hid behind the big man and trembled all over. The second squad leader took out his pistol to help him end the pain. He really couldn't bear to see him suffer like this. If he continued to shout, it would cause an avalanche. The instructor held down the second squad leader's hand that was pulling the bolt and whispered to him, "You can't shoot. Use a bayonet. Let me do it." There were tens of thousands of tons of snow on the top of the mountain hanging above the big glacier. Any noise could lead to catastrophic consequences. The only way we can help Mr. Wang now is to stab him in the heart with a bayonet, so that he can die quickly and painfully. There was no time to lose. The instructor took the Type 56 semi-automatic rifle with a bayonet from a soldier, said softly, "I'm sorry, comrade," and inserted the bayonet into Mr. Wang's heart with his eyes closed. Mr. Wang finally stopped his heart-wrenching howl and fell to the ground without moving, while the flames on his body continued to burn. Just as the instructor was about to pull the bayonet out of his heart, the strange blue flame suddenly lit up and actually passed along the bayonet from the rifle body. The speed of flame transmission was so fast that it took less than a blink of an eye. Before people could see what was happening, the instructor's whole body was engulfed by the blue flames. Like Mr. Wang, the instructor struggled and screamed in pain. Everyone knew the instructor too well. He was definitely a tough guy. Although he looked weak, his endurance and perseverance were up to the standard of the best professional soldiers. I don't know how miserable it was to be burned by that strange fire, which made him scream like this. The second squad leader raised his pistol with tears in his eyes. Now he didn't care whether it would cause an avalanche. He really couldn't bear to see the instructor suffer any more. Just when he was about to pull the trigger, the instructor, who was on fire, suddenly said, "I order no one of you is allowed to take the comrades away from here." Although the instructor's pain was unbearable, he was still conscious. He realized that his screams might cause an avalanche. In order to stop making any sound, he turned the red-hot bayonet and stabbed it into his heart. After a long time, his body was burned into a pile of fine ashes. The remaining members of the team watched this heroic and tragic scene in pain. Everyone clenched their fists and gritted their teeth, trying to hold back the tears in their eyes. Some people even bit their lips. The valley was quiet without any sound. The blue sky above was reflected on the ice of the glacier, giving people the illusion that there seemed to be two identical skies in the world, and it was hard to tell which one was above and which one was below. The magnificent beauty of the fairyland was full of a weird and terrifying atmosphere. There were 2 piles of ashes on the ground. Just a few minutes ago they were still alive, but now they have become a small pile of ashes, burned to the point that not even bones and residues were left. If no one had witnessed all this, who would believe that such a thing would happen in the world? Suddenly a blue fireball flew out from the ashes left after the burning. It hovered in the air facing everyone, as if it was choosing the next target. Its speed was extremely fast. Within its attack range, no one was sure to escape. There was a slight vibration in the air, which should be the sound made by the strange ladybug flapping its wings to fly. The team has now lost 3 people, all of whom are the most important members. The instructor who led the team and 2 engineers have died. The remaining 2 engineers are Surveyor Lonning and Logan from the Shanghai Institute of Geological Survey. It seems that this mission cannot be completed. The instructor is gone, which makes the soldiers lose their backbone. But almost everyone has the same idea in their hearts when facing this weird blue fireball. I would rather be buried alive by an avalanche than be burned to ashes by this ghost thing. Several soldiers who were impatient had already raised their guns and aimed at the ladybug in the air. The second squad leader suddenly stepped forward and said to everyone, "Comrades, the instructor has died, and now I am the captain. I order you all to go back alive for me, okay?" I understand what the second squad leader wants to do. He wants to sacrifice himself to buy some precious time for others to evacuate. I held his arm and choked up. "No, you're not a party member. Why should you go? I'll go if I want to go." The second squad leader pushed my hand away and said, "August who? You're not even a member of the League. I told you not to imitate me, but why didn't you listen?" Before he finished speaking, he rushed towards the fireball, hanging in the air without looking back.